Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. And for today's episode, we've got the game for you here, as promised, against Gelsenkirchen in the Europa League nonetheless. Of course, a huge game given our standing, but obviously you can see here there is a decent performance in the league at least. We are top of the table, level on points with Sporting, and Porto are just a single point away from us. The other big three club of Benfica is just in 19 points, but of course that's still just 5 points away, so we do have to bear in mind that they are quite close. I mean, they're not completely out of the race, of course. It is interesting to see, however, that Sporting have recovered from their last season mishap of missing out on Champions League football, and it looks like they've improved in terms of finances and possibly brought in a couple of players. Well, actually, I think I mentioned it in the past episode, but just to quickly show you, they've paid a decent amount of money this year, and they haven't. Was it not them? I would probably think about someone else, I guess. Then was it Benfica? That'd be worse if Benfica spent a ton of money and then not. It is kind of Benfica I mentioned. Well, anyways, the point is that Sporting have managed to bounce back, and that's quite interesting. They're going to be competing with us for the title, apparently, this season, rather than how it was last season, which was competing for the Champions League spots. So, it's only 10 games, though, so plenty more to go. It should be 34 games in total, which means 24 games. But we are coming up to that point where it's halfway through the season. And, of course, last season we couldn't hold our composure, I guess, or focus that we had in the beginning half of the season. In the second half, we kind of underperformed. We still managed Champions League football in the third place, but we could have easily gotten second or even possibly challenged Porto last year for first. So it'll be interesting to see how we perform so far. We haven't drawn a single game, but of course we have lost 2 in comparison to Sporting. We have drawn 3 games and lost none of them. That's why I always say draws are more dangerous in terms of results than losses. You don't really have consecutive losses as a big club. It's draws that do you damage. But either way, I think in general in each campaign you can afford about 5 draws and 5 losses and still manage to win. That normally goes for a 20-team league, so maybe it's a little bit lower. So we do have to keep an eye out on our draws and losses, of course. In terms of what happened since the last episode, though, we did show you that game against Rio Ave. After that, we managed to lose to Porto 2-0. A disappointing result with Andre Silva both on the score sheet in the first half, and we couldn't recover in the second half to actually pose any type of threat. Eventually, we just didn't have a good game at home, so it's disappointing. The win could have created a bigger gap between ourselves and Porto, the gap that they've closed, as you saw in the table, and it would have helped us go top as well. But yeah, it just went poorly, I suppose. I think we were 5 or 4 points clear of Porto, and they managed to close that gap, so that was disappointing. If we kept them below there, who knows what kind of season they would have had. But they fought well and they deserved the result in the end. We did have goalkeeping errors for both the goals rather, and our defense just seems leaky this year. I don't think we've had as many clean sheets. The loss still kept us in second, so it wasn't the end of the world. It was just disappointing that we let them back into the title race kind of thing. But yeah, not too many clean sheets, I would say. It's kind of disappointing. It seems like our defense isn't as strong as it was last year, but we definitely do need to improve in that area. Against Spartak Moscow, 2 sendings off. Thank God it's not both in our team. We had a sending off in the 69th minute from Danilo, again causing us trouble. And Fernando being sent off for Spartak Moscow helped us to get the last minute winner from Fabio Martins in the 89th minute of the game. An important result. We needed that win to still challenge. We beat them back to back in terms of Europa League games, so that was really good. They lost a man, of course, like I mentioned, and then when Danilo sent off, it really jeopardized our results. So he's very lucky that Fabio managed to get an 89th minute win. A very good win given the circumstances, but really Danilo, he really risked our result in that game, because him getting sent off made us back down to 10 men. Obviously we could still be attacking, but we lost the advantage that we had. But Fabio Martins saved them, and again I think that's about third red card rather for Danilo already this season. So huge, really. He can't seem to keep it together. In terms of the game against Estoril away from home, Hassan had a great game, really performing quite well for us this season. I think you noticed in the first screen that he was top goal scorer for our club with 10 goals this season. I think if we have a look at his stats, he's very close to being a goal every other game, and I think even higher, to be honest. Let's have a look. Okay, it doesn't actually show here. Let's have a look at form. There you go, 15 appearances out of the 20 possible, and he's managed to sorry about that, managed to score 10 goals and provide 1 assist. Now, I would love more assists as a false 9, but for him to be making up for it by scoring goals, that's perfectly fine by me. But yeah, we definitely needed to bounce back in this game against Estoril after the loss in the Premier League against Porto. Of course, we won a game in between, which was Moscow, but that was still the Europa League, so we needed to make sure that we did bounce back, not just in terms of results, but also in terms of the competition we were playing in. So it was very important, and it did send us up to first, I think. We played against in the Taça de Portugal, rather, against Covila. They made the game very tough for us, and it's disappointing to see my team not necessarily taking this competition as seriously as possible. In the third round, we did win 3-1, but we definitely made things difficult for ourselves, and once more here away from home, we made it even more difficult. It looks like in this cup competition, my team's not really taking it seriously, and Danilo once more managing to get sent off. We were complacent when we went up 2-0 through Rosa and Hassan, and then they came back in the second half with Derek and Pimenta scoring within 8 minutes of each other to put some serious pressure on us. Of course, Danilo managing to get sent off in the 78th didn't help us at all, but Rosa managed to score an incredible goal to give us the win in the 110th minute. It was great to see, because of course extra time was not ideal. It's never a good scenario. You don't want your players to be too tired for the next game, but we still managed to win. It was just good to avoid penalties in the end. So overall, decent results. We played 4 games, won 3 and lost 1. I wouldn't say that's too bad at all, especially because the loss was against Porto, a team that we normally don't perform too well against, and especially because of the team that they have. We're nowhere near in terms of quality. But yeah, thank God, the leagues aren't won based on facing one opponent. It's about performing against many others, and so far we've done well. We've only lost to Porto and Tondela. It's not good for us to lose against Tondela, but given that we've won our 8 games, it's not too bad. Sporting drawing with the likes of Benfica, Maritimo and Aruca, and Porto also drawing against Rio Ave and Tondela as well. So it's kind of telling. Benfica are struggling a bit as well in terms of draws, and they lost to us, of course, in the very beginning of the season. But anyways, Hassan's leading. Well, not leading, he's in second in terms of goals scored. Player of the matches, he's quite close. Martins with the assists in second, he's tied for first place. It's good to see some of our players here. We've got 6 clean sheets out of 10 games. So maybe my concern about being leaky is not a real concern, I suppose. It just feels like we concede silly goals, to be honest. That's all it feels like. But I think that has more to do with the goalkeeper than our defense. But anyways, this is the team we'll be going with here today, and we'll talk more about it after. But I'm sure you've noticed Danilo, of course, suspended after his red card in the previous game. And today's game is going to be huge, as Gelsenkirchen are second in the Europa League. And of course, we need the 3 points, at least a draw, to keep them at arm's length. They did beat us in the first game, so can we perform better in the second? And then when we face up against Ustandé, maybe we can get a nice and easy 3 points. But of course, if we draw against Gelsenkirchen today, then Ustandé have every chance of overtaking us if they do beat Spartak Moscow. In terms of favourites, apparently we are favourites. I guess the home advantage helps us. But overall, of course, it's very tight in this group. 7, 6 and 3 points. If Spartak Moscow beat Ostende and we draw, suddenly it's going to be 8 and 6 and 6. And how tight would that be for the very, there's just 2 more games, well actually 1 more game after this one. Anyways, in terms of the team, starting lineup, Hassan, Azevedo and Rosa are the ones to start. Hopefully Hassan is as the first choice can make up for our missing wingers. Both Martins and Santos not performing well for us in recent games, so it is Azevedo and Rosa, who saved us in the previous game, gets the nod for today's as well, just to continue his good recent form. Fonte, Fernandez are first choice midfielders. Gruezo is a backup ball-winning midfielder, but of course, as you guys saw, Danilo is suspended for today's game, so hopefully Gruezo can take this opportunity to put himself in a good position to continue playing and keeping Danilo out as long as possible. As long as he's not getting sent off, there's a real chance of Gruezo taking over from Danilo. Juancar and Nuguedo are... I need to change his name. Pierre is the one who are the ones who start in the fullback positions. Of course, we're starting with a half experienced, half inexperienced side today. Jubal and Juancar are the first choice players, but Arthur and Pierre are the ones who are the backups. But they are in good form and they are playing well. Pierre managing to keep out our first choice Polino who got injured, or I think maybe even suspended. And when Pierre came into the team, he's just performed well. I think actually it was neither. I think it was actually Polino just performing poorly. So, credit to Pierre to actually keep his name on the team sheet. Moreira as well as playing because of course it's cup competition, so we give him his game time then. And it's interesting to see Gelsenkirchen going with a 4-2-3-1. It's basically the more attacking of the... It's 4-2-3-1s is basically like 4-3-3s. They're just more attacking. So, you know, we should deal with it tactically well enough. But whether my players perform or not would be a different story entirely. So I think we can definitely tell our players, because we are the favourites of today's game, and let them know exactly what's at stake here. We could very potentially secure qualification for the first round if we beat Gelsenkirchen. So, and of course, I think if Ostende loses, Spartak Moscow puts us in a really good position. Anyways, let's see what we can do in today's game. We are at home. His flares have been lighted, and maybe the players can put in a fiery performance as well. Rosso on the ball, and of course he loses it right away to someone called Coke. Man, I can never take that seriously. At least Koke at Atletico Madrid is spelled with a K, so it's a bit more, I guess, acceptable, but yeah, he should be sponsored, really. And there you go, first yellow card of the game for Julian Fernandez. Defensive midfielder, of course. I'm not too pleased to see Ankerman get a yellow, but I think it's still better than having your ball-winning midfielder get a yellow, because it almost always means they're going to put another aggressive tackle in and get sent off. A ball-winning midfielder is actually, I think, one of the very few roles who needs aggression in to carry out their role. If you look at the attributes, ball-winning midfielders, you know, if you've got a high aggression rate, it kind of suits their role a lot more. I've played ball-winning midfielders who don't have too much aggression and they don't necessarily perform well. So at least this half, we haven't won or anything, but when we first played Gelsenkirchen in the early stages of the Europa League, we didn't even statistically, you know, dominate against them. They were dominating us statistically, so it's good to see that we're doing it this time round. But again, it's not good enough. We need to really up the levels here. Go up a gear or two. Just hold the players off because we are at home, so I can be a bit more assertive, a bit more critical, I guess. Because we do want to see a better performance. We've dominated in terms of shots and possession, but we haven't seen a single highlight that makes us look dangerous yet. We had quite performances from Hassan and Rosa, so maybe they'll improve in the second half, hopefully. The rest of the team having a solid performance, I guess, and a goalkeeper in particular playing really well. Simiao through, and again he takes it with his right foot for some reason. I really need to check. He's left-footed. He really is. Left only as well, and for some reason when he plays as an inside forward he still takes it with his right. It's incredibly strange. I just never understand that. I think I'm going to move him on eventually. You know, it just doesn't make sense. As an inside forward, you would expect them to use their favoured foot when they go for the shot, and he had time to use his left foot. It's not like he only had the angle on the right, but he just, whenever he's in that position for some strange reason, when he's down at the byline, he goes for the near post with his right foot instead. But anyways, even though that was our first clear-cut chance of the game, hopefully there'll be more to come and more that are put away, rather than how Azevedo just did there. It looks like we'll have to rely on our bench to actually turn this game around, so we'll make some substitutions. We'll take off Miguel Rosa for Fabio Martins. Didn't have necessarily best of games, so maybe Fabio Martins can try and win his spot back from Miguel Rosa. Hassan not entirely tired just yet. Guezo, Fonte. Maybe we can take off Fonte for Joka and see what we can do here. Need to be assertive, my players. Do have faith you need to make the difference. That's exactly what we need right now, really. Need goal scorers, we need people to create more. Hassan having a quiet game is not too pleasing at all, and we'll take him off for Raniel in just a couple of minutes time. Give him just a little bit longer. He is our first choice striker, and of course he has performed well in recent games. Fabio, is he going to put a good corner into the box? Dealt with initially, but Juancar's got the ball. Is he going to shoot or pass? He does. He finds Joka. Hassan, and that was out. I really thought that was in. That's the second click. Actually, that's it. I think Hassan has to go. There you go. His ratings dropped to 6.3 after that shot. And that's definitely deserved. I think hopefully Raniel can prove him wrong and perform well. Prove to me that he deserves to start ahead of Hassan. That's just incredibly poor. Sometimes he really, you know, feels the pressure, I suppose. I want to see that. That's what I want to check. Only playing one position can be very weird when crossing. Consistent performer. Composure, not necessarily. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical. Well, either way. let's see what Renier can do. So there's an immediate highlight after that substitution. Is it going to be Renier scoring the goal? Is it going to be him causing Gelsenkirchen to score there? As Berger-Stoller is through though. We deal with the initial shot, but Ben... damn it, Caligari deal with it? Yes, Moreira. Just lost for words there for a second. Bentaleb managed to find his teammate, and Gelsenkirchen having their first clear-cut chance of the game. We've managed to have 2, so if they'd scored from their first one, that'd be very disappointing. In fact, if they score from this corner, that'd be even more disappointing. We had 2 chances, 2 very clear chances to score a goal, and it'll be very disappointing to see Gelsenkirchen come away with a result here. I think a draw is not even a fair reflection of the performance at all, but they have started to perform quite well in recent minutes. Tempted to go into overload rather, not overall. But Gelsenkirchen are going attacking. They're going for the result here, so we're going to stay level-headed. Normally I'll go into overload if the other team's playing defensively, but they're not, so we have to try and expose them now. There's going to be more space for us, hopefully, and maybe Renier can expose that. Don't take a long-range shot, that's what he's going to do for sure. Why would you show me this highlight? Look at that. There's 5 players around him at this point after he takes the shot. No one making a serious run though. It looks like Gelsenkirchen are going to fight for the draw. They're trying to go for the win. And are they going to get it here? Please tell me win it back. Come up here. Get that. Yes, Fernandez. Good foot in. Is he going to find Semiao? He does. And suddenly we're on the counter-attack. Ooh, almost through to Raniel, but it's the counter to the counter. What's Berger-Stoller going to make? What's he going to do here? If I can say his name. Bentaleb. Okay, I'm not even going to say that. And Bolo, though. Of course, huge signing for Gelsenkirchen. Gruezo does really well to win the ball. And now are we the ones who are going to come away with it here? Joker going to lose it, of course. Come on. So, really poor from advanced playmaker. You'd think he'd release the ball quicker. And that's definitely a goal from them. Ooh. Huge save from Moreira. Bolo had a very clear-cut chance there. It's definitely their second. Thankfully, our goalkeeper's really saved us today's game. But is he going to save us once more? Welcome back once more. And I do apologise hugely for that technical difficulty. I think it ended just about in the last few minutes of the game. Just as you can tell here, nothing necessarily really happened. Gelsenkirchen maybe had one more chance, and that was pretty much it. I'm sorry, it is very disappointing, of course. I'm not really sure what's wrong with my quick time. It's a bit unusual lately. It's been working completely fine, and then suddenly the past episode and this episode, it's suddenly just been cut off randomly. But anyways, hope you can forgive me, and it did end in the draw in the end, and that puts us in a strong position, as I was saying, without realizing I wasn't even recording. But yeah, we do play Oostende in the next game, so if we do win against them, we did lose at home, so maybe we won't necessarily, it's not guaranteed, but if we do beat them, that means it would send us 11 points. It means that we'll have 11 points rather, and that should kind of secure us top spot regardless of what happens with Moscow and Gelsenkirchen. I think we'll have a better goal difference possibly, but even then it means that we qualify. If we get a draw, Gelsenkirchen and Spartak Moscow are the ones to play, so if Moscow beat Gelsenkirchen, it means they get 9 points, and again that should still mean that we qualify. And if Gelsenkirchen beats Moscow and we get a draw against Oostende, it should still mean again that we will qualify. So the only thing we need to do to make sure that we qualify in the next round is to not lose. So I don't think we'll be showing you that game. However, we do have 5 games, 5 games between now and the next episode. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we show you the 5th one. So it'll be interesting for you guys to see the Taça de Portugal 5th round. And in terms of Belenense, we kind of we'll have a look at the past meetings, and we have never lost to them, so we should feel quite secure. But of course, it's a cup competition at the end of the day, so anything can happen. But we should definitely be favourites for it, and it'll be interesting to see if we can get into the 6th round once more. Is the expectations this season? Whereas the Taça de Portugal here, 5th round. So if we get into 6th, we'll be meeting expectations. So we really do want to get to a point where we start winning these other cup competitions. Forget the Europa League. Obviously, that is the target as well. But for now, we should start to really disrupt the big 3 by winning some cup competitions as well as qualifying for Champions League. So if we win either the League Cup or the Taça de Portugal, then it'll be really good for us as well to seriously get our name out there. In terms of trophies, I'm not sure when the last time was that we won any of them. But yeah, some interesting games against Aruca, Belenense. We already play against them in the Premier League as well. Mariense in the League Cup 3rd phase Group B. Of course, that's still a while as well. I think this one we qualify straight into the semi-final, if I'm not mistaken, after beating your 3 teams. You just play them once each, so we've been drawn against these teams here, our rivals as well. We always seem to draw them for some strange reason. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether we can get to semi-final. And I think that's it. So that's pretty much it. It's very interesting fixtures, of course, and hopefully we can get 4 wins out of 4 before we show you the next episode. And I think we can quickly show you when did we last win a trophy. History. Taça de Portugal, when was the last one? 2016. Wait, that's strange. They don't mean when I was in charge, do they? I don't remember winning the Taça de Portugal. Super Taça, okay, yeah, I won that. Did I really win the Taça de Portugal my first? I don't remember that at all. That can't be right. I think the game, you know, in real life Braga won the Taça de Portugal ahead of me, and then that's why we're in the Super Taça, and that's why we won it. And then Portuguese Second League, I don't think that matters too much. Portuguese League Cup 2013. Okay, so we're not too dry in terms of trophies, but we've never won the Premier League, so that'd be huge if we manage to do that eventually. But obviously for now, the Portuguese League Cup and the Taça de Portugal, if we win those, that'd be great. In terms of records, Marafona currently holds the Braga record for most clean sheets in the season 23 and has 7 shutouts. Okay, so he's basically competing with himself. Maiden Karol Glan, Pedro Santos 33. Alright, fair enough. We need to try and do that. We want to create some club legends, really. But yeah, I think that's definitely all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, and of course, please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always, guys, thank you all very much for watching.